In one of the quiet suburbs of Los Angeles, where luxurious houses are surrounded by lush green gardens and swaying palm trees dancing with the morning breeze, lived Elizabeth, an American woman in her early 40s. Elizabeth possessed enchanting beauty, with her long, flowing blonde hair like a golden waterfall and her blue eyes that resembled clear lakes reflecting the sunlight. But behind that beauty was a deep emotional emptiness that gripped her heart. After her divorce from her wealthy husband 2 years ago, she became extremely wealthy, but lost something far more important: the meaning of life. She was searching for something to fill that void, even if only temporarily, and even if through unconventional means. Elizabeth lived in a luxurious villa decorated with Italian furniture and art pieces she had purchased from international auctions. Yet all this luxury wasn't enough to bring her happiness. She often felt lonely, surrounded by shallow friends who cared more about her appearance and wealth than about her as a person. Many times, she resorted to fleeting adventures just to feel something, anything, to break the deadly routine. But these adventures always left her feeling even emptier. On a sunny morning, Elizabeth awoke to the sound of water droplets dripping from a pipe under her fancy kitchen sink. The leak was slow, but enough to enrage her, especially since she had been planning to host an elegant dinner party for her friends that evening. She quickly grabbed her phone and called a local plumbing company. The employee told her that one of their workers would arrive within an hour. Elizabeth sat on her velvet couch, sipping her coffee as she thought about how to pass the time until the plumber arrived. She looked at herself in the mirror and put on an elegant dress that showed off her beauty and grace. Smiling confidently, she believed that her appearance could intimidate any visitor. An hour later, the doorbell rang. Elizabeth opened the door to find an Arab young man in his 30s, wearing a blue work uniform and carrying a metal tool bag. His name was Yasser, a man with attractive Middle Eastern features, wheat-colored skin, and brown eyes that reflected a strange calm. He introduced himself politely and said, "Peace be upon you. I'm Yasser from the plumbing company." "I heard there's a problem in the kitchen," Yasser said. Elizabeth responded with a wide smile, noticing his clean appearance and polite manner. "Yes, please come in. The problem is under the sink, but take your time. There's no rush." She led him to the kitchen, watching him from the corner of her eye. Yasser moved with confidence and calm, placing his tool bag on the floor and beginning to examine the leaking pipe. Elizabeth noticed that Yasser was unlike the other workers who had visited her house before. There was something special about him. Perhaps it was his quiet demeanor or the way he focused on his work without even glancing at her. He worked diligently, murmuring quiet words to himself, as if praying to God to make his task easier. As Yasser worked, Elizabeth decided to start a conversation to break the silence. "So, Yasser, where are you from?" He replied, still focused on fixing the pipe. "I'm from Jordan. I came to America 5 years ago to work and study some engineering courses." "Wow, that's impressive," Elizabeth said with a tone of feigned interest. "Life here must be very different from life in Jordan, right?" Yasser smiled gently without looking at her. "Yes, it's different. But life everywhere depends on the heart and faith. If your heart is pure, you'll find happiness wherever you are." His answer was vague to Elizabeth, but it piqued her curiosity. She decided to take the conversation a bit further and changed her tone to something bolder. "Well, Yasser, I must say, you're not like any plumber I've ever met before. You're special." Yasser paused for a moment, but then continued working without responding directly. After a short silence, he said calmly, "Thanks for the compliment, but I'm just a man who loves his work and respects his time." Elizabeth wasn't used to such cold reactions. She had expected Yasser to return her attention, especially since she was wearing a dress that revealed her beauty. She believed that no man could resist her charm. She decided to be even more daring. She moved a little closer to him while he was still under the sink and said in a seductive tone, "Yasser, let's be honest. I'm a wealthy woman, and I can make your life better. If you spend some time with me today, I'll give you $1,000. What do you say?" Yasser stopped working completely. He set his tools aside, came out from under the sink, and looked at her directly for the first time. His eyes reflected a mix of surprise and seriousness. He stood quietly, wiped his hands with a cloth, then said in a firm tone, "Ma'am, I respect you and your home, but what you're suggesting goes against my values. My religion forbids me from doing something like that." What is lawful, all, is always better, and no amount of money can buy my dignity. Elizabeth was stunned. She hadn't expected this response, especially from a man working in such a modest profession. She tried to collect herself, then replied sarcastically, "Your religion? Really? Yasser, you're in America now. No one cares about those things here. $1,000 is not a small amount." Yasser responded calmly, but with confidence. "I may be living in America, but my heart and faith have not changed. Money can buy things, but it can't buy true happiness. What is lawful brings blessing and peace of mind. I'm not judging you, but I can't go against my principles." Elizabeth felt confused. She had never met someone who would refuse such a tempting offer because of religion or principles. She felt a little insulted, but at the same time, his words sparked a strange curiosity within her. She decided to challenge him. "All right, Yasser, if you're serious, let's make this more interesting. What about $5,000? You can take the money and leave. No one will ever know." Yasser looked at her with a gaze full of pity, then smiled gently and said, "Ma'am, even if you offered me $1 million, I wouldn't change my stance. Life is not just about money. I'm a man who believes that God watches over me in every step I take. I want to live a clean life. What is lawful is my path, and marriage is the only kind of relationship I believe in." At that moment, Elizabeth felt something she had never felt before. A strange respect began to form in her heart toward this man, who seemed simple, yet carried an unmatched inner strength. But her pride prevented her from backing down. She said in a defiant tone, "All right, if you're this stubborn, I'll see how long you can resist. I'll make you change your mind." Yasser smiled and said, "Ma'am, I'm here to fix the pipe, and that's exactly what I'll do. If you're looking for anything else, then I'm not the right person." Yasser returned to his work and quickly and efficiently finished fixing the leak. During that time, Elizabeth sat on a chair in the kitchen, watching him as she thought. His words kept echoing in her mind. Halal is best. Money can't buy happiness. These ideas were new to her. All her life, she had believed that money was everything. She used it to buy fancy clothes, travel, and even friends, but she had never truly felt satisfied. After Yasser finished his work, he stood up and said, "The pipe has been fixed. If you need anything else, you can contact the company." Elizabeth pulled out her wallet and asked, "How much do I owe you?" Yasser replied, "The company will send the invoice. I don't take money directly." At that moment, Elizabeth felt a desire to know more about this man. She said, "Yasser, can I invite you for a coffee? Not the way you might think. I just want to talk. I want to understand what makes you different." Yasser hesitated for a moment, then said, "I appreciate your invitation, but I don't think that's appropriate. If you want to learn more about my beliefs, I can tell you that my religion teaches me to respect myself and others, and that real life begins when we live honestly." Yasser left the house, leaving Elizabeth in a state of deep reflection. In the days that followed, Elizabeth couldn't stop thinking about his words. She began researching Islam, reading about the concepts of halal and haram, and the values Yasser had spoken of. For the first time in her life, she felt there was something deeper than money and appearances. A week later, she called the plumbing company again, but this time, there was no leak. She specifically requested that they send Yasser. When he arrived, she greeted him with a different kind of smile, one free of arrogance, and said, "Yasser, I just wanted to thank you. Your words made me think about my life in a new way. I've started reading about Islam, and I want to learn more. Can you help me?" Yasser smiled and said, "I'm not a religious scholar, but I can guide you to places and people who can help. Islam is a message for everyone, and the search for truth is the most beautiful journey." From that day on, Elizabeth began a new journey in her life. She never imagined that a brief encounter with an Arab plumber would change her outlook on life. But Yasser's words about halal, dignity, and faith had left a profound impact on her heart. As for Yasser, he continued his simple life, knowing that holding on to his principles not only preserved his dignity, but perhaps also inspired someone else to seek the truth. And with that, we've reached the end of our story. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to support us by subscribing to the channel, liking the video, and sharing it with your friends. Share your thoughts with us in the comments. We're always eager to know what's on your mind. Thank you for your precious time, and we'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.